Damn. Yeah. 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 Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. How is everybody doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? And how are you doing? Yes, you right there in the front wearing the Where's Waldo hat. I don't know why you wore that, but now I'm on you. I'm on like DC Young Fly say, I'm on your ass. Anyway, we welcome to episode 33 of season 2 of This Weekend UGA Football DAWGSGORGIA. Go Dogs, sick 'em. Woo 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 woo. I am
Whoa.
your boy from all the way in Oklahoma City at Zagnif Central. Mr. Fingaz, that's almost like last call back in the day. Remember last call?
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
another. That's another.
I was impressive with your breath there. Damn.
That's another story for another time. I used to do, for those of you old enough to remember, God, I feel so old when I talk about those of you old enough to remember. As soon as I say that, I'm getting ready to say something that dates myself. But the Arsenio Hall show, the announcer would say, now it's time for Arsenio, and hold that O like for seconds and seconds and seconds. So I would do last call the same way. Last call, foul
I remember.
call.
I remember.
Anyway, Colin remembers. You guys may not remember, but Colin remembers. Anyway, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. I am Mr. Fingaz coming to you all the way from Zagnif Central. And that fella over there, you know him, you love him, and there is no one above him. He is the brother from another, the sexy mother hubber, the ace of base, in the place, in your face. It is my favorite product again because I love the halftime. I've just been placed in charge of garbage. And there happens to be some in here because I ate Jimmy John's during the earlier show. Do you have any that requires disposal? Collin P from the DMV in the SEC talking Georgia versus Florida on a Tuesday with me on your TV, your computer that probably has a screen as big as the TV.
PC.
On your
Your
P-Top,
PC.
yes. There you
There
go.
you go. There you
Hey,
go.
my man, there we go.
Remix.
That's the virtual high five to the screen right there. There it is. Bam, there it is.
There you go. What's happening, man? What's happening? Dude, this is the first time I've actually done double duty with you. We did that round table just before this, and first time I've got not newfound respect, but got respect for you, bro. But yeah, it's first time pulling the double duty here. But dude, how are you? I mean, I'm doing pretty good at that last round there. I'm actually really anxious, and I don't know if you call it anxious, excited. I don't know. It's always a tough weekend when you know who comes into town or we go into their town. However you want to look at it.
Right. Well, hey, look, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna send the link to the show to our SEC Super Conference group and see if any of you guys want to join. See if any, hey, look, SEC Super Conference group, if you guys want to join, I'm throwing the link to the show your way right now as soon as I can find where I'm broadcasting the show because we should be live right now. I do not see us live at all. There we are. We're live right now. Okay, we're live there. And we should be live a couple other places. We should be streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Colin, talk to the people for a minute while I get while I
Well,
find this link and send it.
I got one question for Nathan there. What's tamed? Is it tamed or tammed? Either way,
Oh,
I agree with you. I agree with
you saw that too.
you. Hey, we're from Georgia, man. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of messed up that I can actually pick that out. But yeah, we did, man. I had, Falcons fans, man. We hope for the best and prepare for the evidential letdown, I guess you would say, with them. But it's good to be a dog fan. But Yeah, dude. I don't know. I'm kind of excited for this weekend. I mean, this is gonna be a good game for us, bro. I mean, it's in Jacksonville. It's been what is it, 3:30? I believe it actually was. The time frame was okay. It was actually pinned down at 3:30 in Jacksonville at the Alltel. It's not Alltel anymore. Man, I got to brush up. Anyways, in the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium. So, but so yeah,
Yeah, man.
you think we're
Look, man. I am excited. This is the one. Like I said, we talked about this when we did the promo. This is the one for those of you that are like, why does Georgia hate Florida so much? They're not our oldest rivals, but they're probably our most storied rivals.
well,
Just
the ones that got our number for the most. I think they still hold the record. I mean, not the record, but the win loss. They still got us right. Are we close? Or and they still got us. They
No,
beat
my
us.
friend. I'm glad you asked that question because no matter which team you ask, we are currently leading the series. If you ask Florida, it's 53-44-2. If you ask us, it's 54-44-2 because there is some great debate as to when the first meeting was as to whether or
Right.
not it was October of 1904 or November of
Right.
1915. So somewhere in there, a game was played. And we have so far played 53 and 44 is 97, 99, either 99 or 100 games. Largest margin
Mm.
of victory. We own that record at 75-0. That was all the way back in 1942. The longest win streak was during yeah, like back when we were winning national championships. That's when Frankie Flatfoot Frankie Sinkwich was still playing ball
The
there.
leather
How
helmets.
about that one for a little bit of Georgia trivia for you there,
There you
folks?
go.
If you don't know
There you
Flatfoot Frankie Sinkwich, then you are not a true Georgia fan. Okay, just saying. Um, the longest win streak, we each hold 7. The most recent one was Florida from 90 to 96. Of course, Georgia was 1941 to 1948. Current win streak, we have a 1 win streak because we lost to Florida, I think, during COVID. If I'm not mistaken, we lost during
did we?
the COVID season. We had to have.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
We
Yeah,
had to
yeah,
have
2 years ago.
because if
I
we
keep thinking,
won it,
yeah,
because we
you're
beat
right.
them the national championship year. We beat them in 2019. We beat them in
Mm.
2018, 2019. They won in 2020, and then we won last year. And we needed to.
Yeah,
We
the
and
ball
that
the
was
ball coach had our number every time we played them. So I mean, I don't think we did lose to old ball coach there. I think Spurrier had us every time we played them. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if we got them one time or not, but I don't think so. If we did one,
yeah. Well, you know what? It happens, and
oh yeah,
as much as we would like to agonize about it, the only thing that we can do is just pick up and keep moving. But ladies and gentlemen, we're stoked this year, and the reason that we're especially stoked this year is because of the wonderful things that Kirby Smart does. No, I kid, a little Wizard of Oz jab there for you, but because we are the currently the reigning national champions, and so far have managed to remain undefeated through the 2022 season. There are
yep,
only we have 5 games remaining on the schedule, counting this one. So we have Florida, then we have Tennessee, then Kentucky, then Mississippi State, and then Georgia Tech to
yeah,
close the season out. So
yeah,
if we can get through the next 3, that's not to write off Mississippi State, but if we can at least get through the next 3, then then that means we will have at least clinched the East
yeah,
and guaranteed ourselves a berth in the conference championship. And then, of course, if we hit the next 2 and we went out, then we're definitely going to the conference championship. And on top of that, finishing out the season on top at number 1, more than likely.
mhm,
1, maybe 2, if we don't win impressively. And pretty much, if we win the conference, we can kind of punch our ticket to the playoffs. So at this point,
yeah.
everything's got to tighten up and fly right. So that's where we are right now. But
Well, that's why.
I
That's another
dig-
reason. That's another reason this is a good game because I mean, honestly, you and I actually both I tend to agree that this may be has all of the makings of the trap game. You know what I'm saying? It's just we will see. You know, I mean, it just depending on what we do against Florida. And then the following games, like you just said. So. Next game up, basically. Just to take one game at a time.
Okay. Well, here's an interesting piece of a trivia for you regarding the University of Florida and Georgia, the universities of Florida and Georgia, respectively, and the game. Um, Georgia played a team called the University of Florida in 1904, and they won that game 52-0. But that's the reason that the Gators do not consider that to be a victory as part of the rivalry is because uh, that was there were four institutions that existed before the current University of Florida as we know it was founded.
Okay.
Okay. So there were four predecessor institutions. There was a school known as the Florida Agricultural College, um, and that was who we beat. Their
Okay.
football team, the football team of the Florida Agricultural College.
So it's
So they
basically
didn't get
the old school Florida A&M or something to that nature.
something along those lines. Yeah, gosh, you know
Yeah.
what? That's a good piece of that might be. Well, you know what? I don't know because that's Florida A&M's a HBCU, so that's hard to put a pin on that. But that's where we are. But when the school founded when they built up the new school in Gainesville, they fielded their first team in 1906, and then we did not play until 1915. So that's where that one game discrepancy comes from.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
That's good to know.
according to Georgia, it counts because it was a school named University of Florida. According to Florida, it doesn't count because that's not the chartered school. That
Right.
wasn't the school with the actual charter and everything. We weren't even known as the Gators then. So anyway, as a matter of fact, here's another little piece of trivia for you here. Georgia dominated the rivalry very early. They didn't score a single point until the fifth or sixth time they got together. So Georgia shut out
Wow.
Florida the first 5, 6 times they played. At least the first 5 times they played,
Man.
which makes me very happy because you know
Well,
how I
make
feel
you
about
happy.
them. You know how I feel about them Gators. You know, Skip, you know how I feel about them Gators. I was sitting on the show earlier as a fella. He kind of sounded like me. He didn't look nothing like me, but he sounded a little bit like me. He do a pretty good impersonation. If I ever need somebody doing impersonation, Skip, he's gonna be the first person I call. But I gotta teach him how to work the griddles in the deep fries at Club Shay Shay in the kitchen too. Because if you're gonna be Shay Shay, you gotta know how to cook hot ales to hand out to your competition when they lose. So you know what? We gonna get on the phone. We gonna call Mr. I Want the Smoke. We gonna have him come on. We gonna have him come on, and we gonna have a little cook off like Gordon Ramsay there, Skip. That's how we gonna do it. We did do a little something for two something.
Yeah, I've got to say that he did a pretty good job, bro. Probably not you.
He
But
nailed that. He nailed that. He nailed that. So let's get into this. Oh, we got people jumping in the chat. Hey, whoever you are there talking, that was Nate that said something to us earlier. That's still Nate. I was out of the chat. I didn't have the chat up and running, so I didn't know it's still Nate. But yes, Nate, we are, to answer your earlier question, we are doing okay. We didn't expect big things out of the Falcons this year, so the fact that they're existing and playing and competing and actually competing is definitely, it's worth.
actually having a winning record right now is actually good enough for me, man.
Yeah.
I'm not
Hey, look,
I'm not pigeon.
right now, we realistically are the best team in the division. So there's not a whole lot we can say about almost said in the conference. That's just silly. That's just silly because our birds don't look nothing like their birds. Our colors are different. Anyway, moving on. Georgia, Florida weekend here. This week in UGA football. So you've been to a cocktail party before? Yeah, you said?
Yeah, I've been to a couple of them. I mean, this is when I was in high school. I mean, it's been a long, long time since I've been. Have I been to one since it was Alltel? I think I've been to one since it was Alltel. It was a good piece of history that Delilah did on our last podcast there. She said that the Carolina Panthers were, I guess they were 93, I guess they came out. I don't know when the Jaguars came out, but
in the early 90s.
It was the early 90s. Or the Jaguars were the first one, right? They were before the Carolina.
I think Jacksonville and Carolina kind of those were the
it was close, right?
Teams. Yeah, I think they were. Yeah.
So it was the Gator Bowl. It's always been the Gator Bowl, and then they changed it. They actually tore it down and rebuilt it as the Alltel Stadium when the Jaguars came around. So I think I actually went to one Georgia Florida game when it was Alltel, But yeah, no, the old school, the Gator Bowl was, I mean, goodness gracious, what can we say? I mean, you already said it before, and we said, 2 years ago on our first actual podcast, I guess. It was crazy, bunch of crazy people drunk, losing their mind and that kind of stuff. Like I said, since those years, it's been kind of calmed down a little bit, tamed a little bit, but it's always a big rivalry. And I tell you what, man, if you go there and you go into the stadium, it is exactly, if not perfectly, 50-50. Like there are Gators on one side and there are dogs on the other. It's red and orange. Like, I mean, it's just, you walk in there and it's a sight to be seen. So everybody's there and there's half and half, and it's the atmosphere is electric. Like any other rivalry game. I mean, I can't put it against any other rivalry game, but this one is just, it's amazing. With the fandom and the crowd and stuff. Like I said, it's calmed down a little bit. I mean, there's still drunkards out there, but I mean, they ain't nearly as much as bad as it was back in the day. But it's a good time. It's a good time.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of back and forth in the rivalry over time. We know that Florida managed to catch up and even the series out some, and then Vince Dooley came back and took the lead, and then Steve Spurrier came back and had a ridiculous run. Ask me again why I don't like Steve Spurrier. He went 11-1 against the Dogs, and that was from 1990 through to about 2001. Now, of course, we all know Steve Spurrier also was a Heisman winner for Florida, so he had ties as well.
But do you remember, not to cut you off, but I mean, what year was it that we actually? It was Mark Richt era. It's during the Mark Richt era. But when we rushed the field after the first touchdown, I guess it was Noshawn Marino. I believe it was.
I just watched that. I just watched that clip.
Was it Noshawn? It was Noshawn, right?
Yeah, it was Noshawn, and I want to say that it was in. I want to say it was in Mark Richt's first year, second year. No, Urban Meyer was still coaching at Florida, so.
Yeah, it was definitely Urban.
When did Tebow?
I think it might have been the year before or after he left. I think. Do you think? I don't think he was there then. Because we won that game. We actually won that game. We're 0
2007.
Yeah,
that was in 2007. Okay. And the whole thing behind that, another piece of history was he didn't want the whole team on the field. He just wanted he just wanted the offense.
Yeah. He didn't mean it like that.
He just wanted the offense to go out and do a little dance, and the whole team rushed the field. And of course,
but the greatest video is the defensive lineman. He's just dancing in front of the camera. You know what I'm saying? It was a man. And flags or laundry was just going all. I mean, like there was laundry.
I tell you what. We kind of paid for that though, didn't we? Because boy, they put a whipping on us for a goodly amount of years after that. So just to go through a few things, historically with the game. It's going to be, the atmosphere is going to be electric. It's going to be noisy. It's going to be loud. This is not going to be one of those games where one team starts winning and the stadium gets really quiet. It doesn't matter what side's winning. That stadium is going to be blowing up. Of course, the alcohol is going to be flowing freely, so there may be a few people get a few free pairs of silver bracelets on the way out the door, or before the game is over. Be like, hey, look, you won a grand prize, and we like you so much, we want to give it to you right now. But you got to come with me to go get it. So, but yeah, it's always and I having been a just about lifelong dog fan, have never been to a game. I think we're going to try and work on that. We said last year we were going to go this year.
Until I brought out the statistic there, you were all about it. Until I brought out the statistic, and then you were all
as long as you don't tell me we got to hide behind a running car, any chainsaws, then we're good. So we're gonna start making plans this year for next year. We got to make that happen. Because that's one of the things that's on my bucket list is go to a Georgia-Florida game. So that and a Falcons game and a Braves game. I've already been to see the Spurs play.
Okay.
That's my
I haven't been to Mercedes. I haven't been to Truist Stadium. I'd love to go to those two new stadiums down there. Yeah. Been to Alltel. I'm not even sure what's called anymore, but yeah, I've been to that one. But I haven't been to Truist or Mercedes. I'd love to go to this. But
Yep.
yeah,
So
we definitely need to start planning that for real.
yep, I'm 100%. So here's what we're gonna do real quick. We're gonna take a real quick break. We're gonna show our guy, the birthday boy, Sid Swinton, some love. His company, Squid Rips Cards. He does pulls multiple times weekly on TikTok. That is his handle, Squid Rips Cards. You see it right down there in the crawl. It's running across the lower third. Y'all check this out, and we will be right back. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that's our guy, Sid Swinton. Get at him. Squid Ribs cards, football cards. You need them. He's got them. Go get them. All right. We are here. Welcome to this week's edition of This Week in UGA Football. I am Mr. Fingers. That is Collin P from the DMV and the SEC talking Georgia football with me on your PC. And we are very happy to see you here. Yeah, see, now you done added a line to it. This is gonna really turn out to be a bar. We're gonna have to put this in music and put it on Spotify. So we're gonna do a really brief show tonight, ladies. It's gonna be briefer than we planned because we had a lot of time. We allotted out time to have a guest on. Our guest, unfortunately, was not able to make it because they had to work this evening. So we're just going to run over a few things to the game, some keys to the game. Maybe either I or Collin and I both can get this guy back on later on this week if he's not working. So to our guests, we thank you for at least trying to volunteer your time. But I guess, we maybe if we can't do it, no big deal. The game is still going on this Saturday.
Yeah.
So let's start with Florida. Let's just say Florida wins if. Now, of course, I don't like to think about Florida winning, but what do they need to do? What would be some keys to the game that they would definitely need to do in order to win this game?
I mean, we both talked about this earlier, but Anthony Richardson, I mean, he needs to he would have to be more, I guess, cut down on his turnover. I mean, he's got like 7 interceptions, this year. He's got more interceptions than he has touchdowns. He's got 6 touchdowns. So, I mean, like, he's going to have to hit his targets and kind of cut down on those the turnover. But it's kind of going to be hard because our defense is I mean, it's not a defensive year ago, but it's actually pretty close, and our DBs are actually pretty good. And I mean, from the last couple of games, we're going to just throw out, not even look at Missouri, not even look at Kent State, that kind of stuff like that. We'll just look at the last 2 games. Yeah, I mean that if he's good, and then if they're pardon me, their running back, what is his name? Hang on. Yeah. Be prepared. Johnson, he's got 422 yards, 25 yards and 7 touchdowns. If we can contain him, he's got 59 carries there on that 425 yards. If we can contain him, which our defensive line, we gotta make sure that we contain the running game and put pressure on Richardson. And I think we'll be fine. They win if we were there to expose our secondary and honestly, if the running game can get through and make holes in our defensive line. That's what I see. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Listen, Anthony Richardson, it's not that Anthony Richardson is not athletic. The kid is exceptionally athletically gifted, but he's a kid that's out on the field playing street ball with a group of guys that they've got defensive schemes. Like they're teams that have figured out, if you take him out of the game and make him run, and he's not beating us with his arm, because it's not like he can't chuck the ball. He's got 1,307. He's thrown for almost 1,400 yards at the just past the halfway mark of the season, and that's with the record that they have. What are they, 3-3 right now? 3-3, 3-4.
Yeah, 4-3. 4-3.
They're 4-3. Okay, so thank you. See how we're close. They're 4-3 right now, and he's thrown for 1,367 yards. Now, I'm no rocket scientist, and I am not the greatest of football analysts, but I do know one thing: if you have thrown more interceptions than you have thrown touchdowns, then you don't get to win a lot. And if you
Right.
do, you're exceptionally lucky and you backdoor your way into the Super Bowl on a wild card by beating the Falcons, and then you beat the undefeated New England Patriots while Falcons fans are
Yeah.
sitting around cussing you out. I'm looking
Right.
at you, Eli Manning. Anyway,
Yeah.
I
And,
said it.
and and to your point, I mean,
I
look at
said it with my
the
whole chest. Come for me if you want to. My shirt say unconquerable. Now,
say it was just
can I get a peel his muffin cap back blue? I
black
don't
blue.
know what that means, but it's a drink.
I don't know. Hey, but hey, this is it though. I mean, like you're just talking about Anthony Richardson. I mean, like, their leading receiver is shorter. He has 18 receptions for 405 yards and only 2 scores. That is their leading receiver. So I mean, is that's a testament to the quarterback play, right? I mean, like it's. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't get any other receivers, but I mean, if that's their leading receiver with 400 yards, I mean,
Uh-huh.
and he's got what? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it. You've seen it. I've seen it. We've been watching it all season. Anthony Richardson is an exceptionally physically gifted football player. Anthony
But all
Richardson
that
is not a very good quarterback. Like I could see him
was
going. I could see him going. Oh, say, um, he's a sophomore, so he's got one more season. I could see him going. If he maybe turns it around and pulls his QBR up by 10 or 15 points, I could see him being bottom end third round draft pick, maybe a fourth round draft pick. He'll be a clipboard holder, but at least he'll be in the league. I mean,
yeah.
unless lightning strikes in a bottle and he has a turnaround hell of a season next year. So that part we got. For that part, I think they definitely need to work on. Another thing
Well,
I think they
all
need.
that being said, though, all that being said, it's just, I mean, is that I don't necessarily see network? There it is, right there. Sorry, I got it's the rush the field offense. But anyway, no, all that being said, is that you think that Anthony Richardson's play is indicative of his offensive line? Do you think he actually has heard these passes? I mean, I haven't really paid a whole lot of attention, but I mean, that could probably, I mean, obviously that would play a part. Him with his 7 interceptions. I mean, he's hurried. I mean, is he making just bad decisions? I mean, I don't know. You're saying he's making bad decisions,
I
hurrying
think so. I think so. He's been doing a lot of running.
Is he Bo Nix?
Maybe
I mean, is he Bo
maybe
Nix?
not as maybe not as bad as Justin Fields. Well, listen, here's the thing. Here's the key. I'm going to say no, and I tell you why. And thank you for bringing up Bo Nix. Bo Nix is having a season right now that they are considering.
Yeah.
The talk is starting to rustle about for Bo Nix for Heisman.
Right. Yep.
I'm gonna let everybody sit in a second of silence and let that sentence just soak in. And I'm gonna say
Yeah.
it one more time. Right now, there's talk amongst the media for Bo Nix. I mean, mainstream media, not like social media, the social media and
Right.
Twitter. There's talk
Yeah.
about Bo Nix for Heisman and having a good chance to win it. The same Bo Nix that looked like a lost kid running in circles when he was playing at Auburn last year. It's
Mm-hmm.
coaching. I mean, athletic, you can be athletically gifted, but there's only so many things that can be. There's only so much of that you can do without proper coaching. And I just don't think he's had a
Yeah.
proper coach. I don't think
Right.
Dan Mullen was a guy. And to be completely honest, I'm gonna say just like our buddy Uncle Lou, Sunbelt Billy is Uncle Lou likes to call him Sunbelt Billy Napier. Not the
Yeah.
guy either. I give him enough credit for them playing at least well enough to be at / above 500, but that's
Yeah.
about
I
it. So
mean,
what do you do? So
after the game
what do you
against
do?
us, I mean, after the game against us, I mean, they've been like a different team. I mean, we've always said that Dan Lanning, as the coach of Oregon, it may take him some time, but I mean, I didn't think it was going to take him, a long time. Like he's a great coach. You're everything what you said was true. I mean, proper coaching, proper offensive line. I mean, is what a quarterback needs. Current time to make his checks and reads. I mean, you have to give that quarterback enough time. What a quarterback needs is that time to shine and do what he needs to do. And just
That's a
But
very good.
you know,
That's a very good question from our
what you
dear
say?
friend Nathan Snell. Check him out, one Nathan Snell on YouTube. The Big
Wow.
Big Nate Sports Talk. He changed the
All right.
name and it's no longer the Big Nate Podcast. It is Big Nate Sports Talk. Bring your sports game with Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the
That is
time, every time.
that's a
Anyway,
that is a great comparison. That is a great comparison.
I would say yes. I
Yeah.
would say yes. Although I would say yes. And you think about guys that came up through high school and high school ball. You know, kids are still kind of learning how to play football. There's 22 physically gifted kids out on the field, just giving it 100%. And a lot of times the play will break down, and the quarterback just has to make a play. In high school, it's a little bit different. In college,
Right.
when you get in college, that's when they start teaching you, okay, if your play breaks down, if you don't have your go route, go straight to your slot. If you don't have the slot route, go to your swing pass out in the flats. If you don't have this,
Yeah.
hit your
Few check.
crossing route coming up there. And yeah, stuff breaks down in the pocket. The pocket breaks down. Anthony Richardson is gone. So I definitely think that's a coaching thing. Um, Offensive line, yeah. Their offensive line is yeah. So
Yeah.
most definitely, I definitely would. You know what, Nate? I think you asked me this question before. I think you put it out last week, and I'm going to say I don't know if what I said last week, but I'm going to go ahead and go on record, and I'm going to say yeah. What about you, Colin?
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, I haven't heard, or actually, I mean, I probably should have thought about this comparison before. But that is actually one for one for me. I mean, yeah, they're in my mind it is actually one of the same. I mean, it does remind me of both. I mean, Anthony Richardson reminds me of Lamar Jackson. I mean, a young, Lamar Jackson. I mean, like, but yeah, that's interesting. But then again, I mean, talking about Florida wins if. I mean, we can go ahead and talk about the line here. I mean, the Georgia getting 22 and a half seems a little bit high for me. I don't know about you, but
Based on how we're playing this year, yes.
yeah,
However,
that's what I mean.
however, it's Florida, and we don't know what's going to happen.
Well, that's true.
It's this particular version of Florida, and we don't know what's going to happen. There's going to be questions.
That is a
So
rivalry, and yeah, we never know what's going to happen with that. So yeah,
no,
that's true.
no, we don't. There have been years when we showed up. There have been years when I'm like, man, we're gonna lose this game. I'm sitting down thinking that we're gonna get it handed to us, and we wound up winning. Now I know I will say honestly that I saw, sorry, Coach Rick, that we saw a lot more of it during the Mark Rick years than during the Kirby
Yeah,
Smart years. But there was some
yeah,
years like that year, yeah, 2007. That was like, man, Urban Meyer's, and then he was like,
yeah,
then all of a sudden it was like, what, we won? But that
yeah.
the touchdown in the rush in the field was the thing that set it off. And I'm gonna get off of that before Nate tells me to let that die again. So we're gonna move on to the next question. So Georgia wins if, and
I mean,
I'm gonna start with you.
you're gonna start with me. All right, all right. I can kind of go kind of what I was saying about Florida. I mean, kind of all centers and all centers around Stetson, right? All right. So what Stetson are we gonna get? Right. I mean, and I didn't think I was gonna have to ask this question after the Oregon game and maybe what was it, the second team we played, and then we got Kent State, and then we got Missouri game, and that kind of stuff. That put question marks in my mind because they definitely looked polished. At the start of the season, he's looked a little bit better, albeit it was against Vanderbilt. But if you look at the game, he was firing the ball. It was zipping it. There was some speed on those passes, and they were absolutely chest. They were in the chest there. I mean, there was a couple that were off the mark, but most of them, 99.9% of them were on the mark. So I would say, Stetson, if he can go back to the way we saw him earlier in the year, throw it away. And when there's nothing there, if there's nothing there, throw it away. Don't try to force anything. Don't do anything, just and make your checks and that kind of stuff. And that all depends on, obviously, his protection from his offensive line. And, main thing is we score points. We need to score points, and the defense actually needs to hold Florida to a minimal amount of rushing yards, and the DBs and all the secondary needs to do their job. And, if we get a couple of picks, great, turnovers, that's awesome. And we need turnovers, and we need to basically 3 and outs is what we want. That's basically what I got. So if Stetson's on the game and the offensive line is giving him protection and the DBs and the defensive line is doing their thing and get to the quarterback, get to Anthony Richardson, that's what we need. I mean, I think that's actually the formula for any team to win, you know?
Okay. Well, I hear you there, my friend. I hear you. Picture Nate, to answer your question. I don't know why
No,
Nathan keeps asking this question. The answer is no. The only thing that I
no.
can see, the only way that I can see, and I love the guy, mind you.
Yeah. I don't even think he has no desire, I don't think. I don't think he's going to go to the NFL, to be honest with you. I don't think
I
he will.
absolutely love Stetson Bennett the third. I don't know a thing about the kid other than all the information that's put out about how he came in and he had to go to JUCO and he came back and how
Yeah.
how he's been a fan since he was a little boy. But I don't know anything about his personality, his personal wants, desires, and likes, what he aspires to be in life. But as a Georgia Bulldog member of the Georgia Bulldogs football team, I absolutely love Stetson Bennett the fourth. I do. He last year rose to the ranks of like he's up in my like upper 10% now in my lifetime. I mean, not
Well,
and maybe higher,
I think he's achieved.
maybe higher than that because he was a quarterback that won a national championship during my lifetime.
Yeah.
So
And
no,
I think he's
I don't think
achieved.
he's a first round pick. He's got too many. I mean, there's no telling. There have been a lot of guys that were overlooked in the draft that turned out to be diamonds in the rough. You know, Brady. We talk about Brady all the time and how he was a
Yeah.
6th round pick. Shannon Sharp. Well, we're talking quarterbacks,
Yeah.
not tight ends and wide receivers. A lot of people said Drew Brees was too little. Drew Brees has. Um,
Yeah.
Drew Brees has got at least a Super Bowl ring and was the quarterback of a very dominant franchise in the NFC South for a very long time. So I don't know. I can't speak to it, but I can tell you I don't think he's a first round pick. I think if he gets in the NFL and has any measure of success, a good hearty go dogs to him. But I don't see
Yeah.
him being a first round. It'll be because he was a 3rd rounder and somebody went down and he went out and he started lighting it up and somebody gives him a shot, which is, I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. That's generally how it happens. You get some guy
Yeah.
that's a
Well, I
backup
mean,
somewhere, and then you get a guy that's a backup somewhere, and they go, "Oh, he can ball." They trade him off.
yeah. Well, I mean, my opinion is I think he's already achieved his goals. I mean, like as a kid, he's always going to be the quarterback for the Georgia Bulldogs. And he's done that. And he's won a national championship. Being a quarterback and being an MVP of a national championship Georgia Bulldog team. So I mean, I think there was an interview. I think he actually said that he really. I mean, the reason he came back. I mean, honestly, I don't even think he has aspirations to go to the next level. I don't think he needs. I mean, I don't think he actually cares to even go to the NFL. I think he's going to do something like be a lawyer or something. He came out and get his degree and that kind of stuff. And if he does, great. I mean, like more power to him. But I think, in my opinion, looking at him, I think he's achieved pretty much what he wanted to achieve.
Yeah, when it's
But if he
kind of
does,
hard, you know what I mean. I don't think he would be able to ever achieve. I won't say he won't be able to achieve the level of success, the level of euphoria, like where he is right now. He's the
sure.
quarterback of the reigning
Well,
national champion football team
it's
in
a
the
story.
country. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's got a great story. Not that he did it
and he
for the
worked hard
story,
for it.
but he worked real hard for it. He has a great story. He's got a championship ring. And worst case scenario I can see out of this is a New Year's Six bowl for these guys.
Yeah,
So you mean to tell me I got to play on a team as a backup that won a couple of New Year's Six bowls, a national
yeah,
championship, a national
yeah.
championship runner up, um, and a New Year's Six bowl? I think I'm pretty doggone happy with that, and I got to
Hey,
lead that.
against adversity, but anybody, all the naysayers of everything that I ever did, be it good, wrong, otherwise, or not even everybody was discounting. And let's go ahead and put a disclaimer right here. I'm not saying he won us the national champion. Not him. I guarantee. No, I'm not saying that. He had a hand in it. He had a hand in, had a part in playing in that game, and he actually made really good plays in the
Yeah.
national championship. Help us win. I'm not saying he won it for us. Defense was all big part. But I'm just saying that's a story that has. I mean, is a storybook ending. I mean, to be honest with you, if I was him, I'd be like, I'm good, because I mean, and with the NIL stuff, I mean, he's gonna be set for life either way. Now, if you want to go to the NFL and test it, okay. I mean, I'm not gonna fault him for doing that, but if you don't make it, I would send my ass home. wouldn't do it
Well,
again.
okay. Let me pose this question to you, then we'll move on to our next little segment here. So let's just say he decides to dip his toe in the waters and test it out. Test it out. Who do you foresee would be willing to take a chance
Oh my
on
god!
Mailman as a quarterback, even if it was just for a backup? But you think about
If
it, we've got our second round of aging quarterbacks who will probably wind up hanging them up after this season. Um, I don't know. Brady probably won't come back next season, although he's stubborn, so he's always a wild card. You got Matt Ryan, who's starting to look his age. You got Russ Wilson, who I'm not writing him out yet, but he struggled a little bit, and he has been in the league for a little bit of time. He's making his way towards being an elder statesman. He's like right behind the elder statesman. Who else has been in the league for a while? Carson Wentz is still quarterbacking. Andy Dalton is
yeah,
still quarterbacking.
yeah.
So I see a lot of the old heads in another couple of years or so, they're going to be gone. So who would you foresee going? Yeah, we want to give the curly head kid from Georgia a chance. If you squint real
Honestly, I
hard and
don't
look
know.
at if you squint real hard and look at him out of one eye, he kind of looks like that kid Screech from Saved by the Bell.
He does. I kind of wish he would shave that head, keep it there. But yeah, no, I don't know, because I mean, if you look at all the scouts, or the scouting report, or the Facebook, or social media couch coaches, he's too short. Like, you can't see over the line, and all these guys that are too tall. He's another Flutie. I mean, if you ask me, I mean, it'd be another kind of a Flutie situation.
Yeah, I
I
mean
mean, it would
we've had a
come
few of
down
those
to,
though.
yeah, well, that's true. But I mean, at the same point, look at Fromm. Like, Fromm, they what was he playing? He played for the Jets. I don't know. I forget who he got drafted by, but he actually did get drafted, right? What was it?
New York.
Buffalo? No, he didn't get drafted. Was it New York?
Yeah, he was a
Can't remember.
third stringer, fourth stringer, and then he wound up going in late in the season when somebody got hurt.
Okay,
And he
yeah,
got
that's right.
he
And
just
now he got picked back up to the
got
scout
picked
team.
up as a backup by the I want to say the
Uh,
Bills. I want to say the Bills.
Somebody, he did get somebody. He went to the practice team, but not, then he got raised up to the team. He was a backup. But anyway, either way, it's just I don't know who would take a chance on him. I mean, to answer your question, I honestly don't know. Like, who would you think that would take a chance on him? Like, I don't
Oh,
understand.
he
I mean,
is
I
in
really don't know.
Washington.
I'm sorry,
He is in
Washington.
Washington. Yeah, he got
Oh no,
picked up.
Fromm was in Washington. Yeah, Fromm
Yeah,
was in Washington. Yeah,
yeah. Oh, you talking
yeah.
about? I'm sorry. I thought you were talking
I'm talking
about.
about Bennett. I'm talking who would take a chance on Bennett. Like, I mean, I
I
have no
thought you
answer.
were still talking about Jake Fromm, my friend. I'm very sorry.
No, no.
Who would take a chance on Stetson Bennett? I don't. I mean, you know what? I asked the question, so I guess it's only fair that I answer. I
You don't
don't
have to
know.
answer.
Pittsburgh looks to be satisfied with Kenny Pickett. We know that Bailey Zappi is more than likely going to wind up taking the mantle in New England. They'll probably let Mac Jones ride the pine and maybe trade him off, or maybe they'll keep him on. And Bill Belichick, he might keep him on.
That was a surprise for me, man. That was a surprise. I mean, not a surprise,
Yeah.
but oh my goodness.
I don't know. I could potentially see and this one might be huge. I could potentially see the Raiders moving on from Derek Carr because
Yeah.
granted, there's more to what's going on with Oakland than just Derek Carr. I mean, excuse me, Las Vegas than Derek Carr. But
Well, let's flip that.
they might
You
be in
think
a
that you
market. They might be looking.
like? I mean, let's flip that. Then who would he be willing to go to? Would, like, if somebody would be reaching out to get him? I mean, would he be like, "Nah, I ain't going"? I
Well,
mean,
I mean, I think they may have put something in the bylaws since that infamous Eli Manning incident that kind of put the kibosh on that. So
that
I
would
don't
make
know.
sense.
I mean, but I don't know. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't see him being a high draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
I would see him, like I said, late third, early fourth, because the quarterback class is going to be a little heavy this year.
Absolutely. I mean, didn't CJ Stroud and all those guys are graduating, like they're in their junior year this year, or Stroud in his sophomore year?
Stroud was a true freshman last year.
Oh wow.
Um,
I need to do some research.
oh God, Bryce. I almost wanted to call him Jalen Hurts.
Right.
Bryce is in his sophomore year. And I think he's a true sophomore. So those guys both have one more season before they come out. But you got some
Yeah.
other guys that are coming out this year. You know, you got Stetson coming out this year. You got JT Daniels coming out this year. You got
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure. I think the kid from Michigan is coming out this year. I'd have to double check that one. But the quarterback,
Yeah.
there's more coming. The next couple of quarterback drafts are going to be a little bit silly. So that's where we are with that. So let's move on to our next segment real quick. But before we do, we want to take a little pause for the cause. Thank you all for tuning in to episode 33, season 2 of This Week in UGA Football. I am Mr. Fingers. That is Collin P from the DMV, talking SEC football, UGA football on the internet with me coming through your PC on a
Hey.
Tuesday for thee.
Oh my
Now,
goodness. Oh my
so
goodness.
anyway, you guys hang tight. We will be right back. The Let's Talk Football family of shows. And here is where you can catch them all like Pokemon. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. All the Let's Talk Football podcast that you can handle. We got fantasy football. We got fantasy football. We got all season football. We got regular football. We've got the mixed bag of nuts. I call us me, Nick, and Delilah the mixed bag of nuts from the Let's Talk Football
Good name.
Roundtable on Tuesdays. You got individual team shows in Washington Football Weekly. You've got diversity shows in the women's show on Thursday. You've got college football on Saturday. You got UGA football on Monday. Or this particular case, a Tuesday. And by the way, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please make sure you like and share and subscribe and letting your friends know that we are here. We are here. We are here this week in UGA football. So that brings us to our next segment. We got a couple more here, and then we're going to let you go for the evening. As we know, we are in week 8, and I do believe there are 14 weeks in the season. Everybody's kind of pushing out their bye weeks right now. A lot of teams are off last week. There'll be some more off this coming weekend. A couple of big games tonight I'm going on. One of which being the outdoor cocktail party that we're talking about now. But at the end of the day, the goal is for everybody is to get to the conference championship, because the conference championship and winning that with a good record combined with a good record generally means that you will get a ticket to the big dance, the college football playoff. So, how you feeling? How you feeling right now with how things are looking with this? I mean, that was a big shakeup with Tennessee and Alabama, but then there have been some other factors that have come into place since then. So, how you feeling? How do you think it's looking?
Yeah, I still stand by us winning out. I do. I still feel like we're gonna win out. We're gonna be undefeated. And that's obviously indicative to how we play Florida. But Tennessee, Hendon Hooker, you can't say nothing about that kid and then Hyatt.
Oh,
I'm still trying
absolutely
to
not.
figure
That
out.
boy is a beast.
I'm trying to figure out how in the world he had 6 receptions against Alabama and 5 of those for touchdown. And I'm asking the question to myself, is like, how in the world do you let him the DBs or secondary let him get behind you guys and get I don't get it. And it was just a 1-2 tandem that it was working, and they just kept with it. And that's how things work. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I mean, you can't say enough about them. And I am concerned. I'm not gonna say I'm not concerned about playing Tennessee, about Hendon Hooker and Hyatt. But I think if we keep playing like we're playing, I think we'll be fine. But Kentucky, I think I'm not even sure about Kentucky. Again, it's SEC, so anything could happen, right? Any given Saturday. But Kentucky's a shell of what I think we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year. But I mean, I think we still got a shot, a good shot actually. What is your what is your expectation? Do you think there will be three SEC teams in the college football playoff?
I don't. I'm going to put this one to bed.
I mean, it's talked about, right?
Yeah, it's been talked about because they're saying that 3 teams could go. Georgia's still undefeated. Tennessee's still undefeated. Tennessee is still undefeated. And right now, yeah, Bama's gonna get in there some kind of way. Bama got to the national championship one year and didn't even win the conference. Auburn got left out. Georgia beat Auburn. Auburn got left out, and Alabama leapfrogged them and wound up getting in the college football playoff. And we all know how that ended that year. But I'm going to put that one to bed because as much as everybody, SEC is the huge draw. I mean, they were talking about the numbers in terms of viewership this year. And I think it was 6 out of the top 10 most watched games so far this season were all SEC games. Alabama is always going to be a source of mystique. Alabama will never not have a mystique to it because of the legacy it has in Bear Bryant, I started saying Kirby and Bear Bryant and Nick Saban, and we can't forget Gene Stallings in the middle. It's just he didn't really have a dynasty. He won a championship too. So you got three coaches that in our lifetime, mine and yours, have won. 3 coaches. Name me one other school anywhere that has done that in our lifetime.
Exactly. Can't.
Any other school. I mean, you might. Maybe if we look real hard, because I didn't really follow all of college football back then. It was just Georgia. Because when we were little, for those of you that think that we're old, here's something that's going to really make you think we were old. When we were little, we had 3 channels to watch on TV, and it was only 2 of them that showed. It was only 2 of them that showed football on Saturdays, and it wasn't all the games.
You had VHF and you had UHF. So UHF, you had to get that little knob, not the big knob, little knob.
Oh man, don't really make their heads explode. Come on, man, stop playing. VHF and UHF, what is that? There were certain channels that did not come in. I think it was 1 through 4 or 0 through 4 that you had to switch your knob over to UHF. And that was a different frequency altogether. Those channels came in on a different frequency than 4 through 13. Yes, and there were only 13.
You don't have
there were only 13 channels. There were only 13 channels on the TV knob, and until they came out with the thing with the keypad, and even then, you couldn't get the bigger channels until you got cable.
Right, exactly. If you live out in the woods, you didn't get cable.
Unless you had that big satellite that looked like you were trying to speak to NASA.
Exactly.
So anyway, we know
let me interrupt you for 1 second though. I mean, like as far as like Tennessee goes, right? That was a huge win, and no doubt about it. It was a huge win against Alabama. Now, is it worth them being touted as like the team to beat right now? I mean, in your opinion, do you think they
the way they're playing right now, the way that they're playing right now, yes,
yeah. I mean,
100%. That's with us still being undefeated and being still being undefeated, still having an undefeated regular season record dating back to last season.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
The start of last season, being the national champions coming into this season, not having lost a single game. Yes. Yeah. Right now, I'll say that as a Georgia fan, I'll give Tennessee their props.
I mean, they're actually putting them on like above Ohio State. Like they're actually putting them number 1. I mean, like the coach.
Because let's think about let's be real for a second. How long has it been since any team other than Georgia, Alabama, Michigan, or Ohio State has done
Okay.
anything relevant at the top of the pile.
I agree. No, I got you. I understand where you're going. I got you.
I mean, and to boot, it's been 20 something years, 25 years since Tennessee has been this team. I mean, the
Yeah,
last time
and
it
we
was
all
the last time it was this team, there was an old big head quarterback from Louisiana playing ball down there. He went in the league, played, retired, and is now in the Hall of Fame.
exactly. But I mean,
And
we all saw it coming.
his
We all
brother
saw,
came in and played and retired.
yeah, we all saw it coming though. We all saw Tennessee slowly but surely getting it up, getting it up. I mean, they were getting better, getting better, getting better. Year by year by year, and it's not surprising, that they are where they are right now. To me. But
Mm-hmm.
and they've all. I mean, they've been good in the past. I mean, they've been really good. Like that big head you were talking about. Yeah, they've had our number too. I remember that.
Yeah. So to get to where I was going with these scenarios. So
Right.
we know Alabama's always going to be a source of curiosity. The only way that I could see in this year, the only way I could see it after the hullabaloo in 2017 with the playoffs, somebody's going to have to beat Bama. If Bama loses another game, then they're eliminated. However,
There you
I
go.
don't see that happening because here's their schedule coming forward. They got LSU in Death Valley. That's the only game that I'm going to give a team an honest shot because Brian Kelly's got the squad humming. They're starting to
Uh-huh.
believe. They really have. They've turned. I think they've turned the corner so far on this season. Now, if they lose to Alabama, if they lose to Alabama, I don't even count it as a ding because people are expecting Nick Saban to beat Brian Kelly as the first year coach at LSU. But if they
Yeah.
manage, if anybody can pull it off that's left on this schedule, it's definitely them. Because after that, they got Ole Miss, and I don't think Ole Miss can do it. Then they play Austin Peay, and then they play Auburn.
Right.
Auburn's done. Auburn is
Yeah.
done. Whatever happened the last couple of weeks broke their spirit. They're done.
Yeah.
They'll get
Yeah.
up enough for the game, but I think they're done. Austin Peay, not even going to happen. Ole Miss, don't see it. So, but one of those four teams is going to have to beat them to knock them off. Then you got Ole Miss, who lost to LSU and left the back door open. Well, Ole Miss has A&M this weekend, which should be a cakewalk. The week
Right.
after, like I said, they play Alabama. Then they've got Arkansas and Mississippi State. So Ole Miss doesn't have any gimmies. They have to win out to win the West. They've got to win out to, well, actually, no, because LSU still holds the tiebreaker. So that means they need Alabama to win next week. They need Alabama to win this Saturday, and then Ole Miss has to win out to win the West. That's that scenario. And
Yeah.
then in the East, it's really simple. If Georgia beats Tennessee, if Georgia beats Florida, if Georgia beats Tennessee, if Georgia beats Florida, and Georgia beats Kentucky, done deal. Not that the
Yeah.
Mississippi State game is negotiable, but it's not in the Eastern Division, so it wouldn't count against us winning the East and going to the championship. And a one-loss Georgia coming off a year of a national championship, still winning the conference is still getting into the national championship. But that's what I see
Oh,
my
absolutely.
championship. Those are my conference championship scenarios. Oh, so, ladies and gentlemen, we do appreciate those of you that have been watching. Even if you're watching the replay, feel free to drop a comment in there. Let us know you were there. Really quickly, before we go ahead and get to our final segment of the game, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give you something here from our not so official sponsor, the Zagnif apparel. You guys stand by. We'll be right back. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, our sister company, Zagnif Productions, which is under this show, is underneath the banner of the sister company, Zagnif Apparel, Sports Apparel. And we do have apparel not just for the ladies. We've got snapbacks. They look like this. I've got beanies. I got one coming this week. I'm going to be wearing some of the custom gear like this right here. This is custom straight from Zagnif Apparel. Comes with the signature logo on it. We've got podcast gear, we've got mugs, we got all that stuff. So if you want to know where it is, go right over there and hit Collin. If you be so kind as to point there in the other corner, right there, the other one right there where the QR code is. That you scan that, hit that, or you can just go boom and hit the website down at the bottom. Either way, take you right to that website. I've started breaking stuff off into categories: outerwear, ladies casual, men's casual, activewear. Go over there and get yourself a little something, courtesy of Zagnif Apparel Design today. Thank you so much. We're running a little behind. Well, not behind on time, but the last segment ran a little long, so we're just gonna just real quick. I'm gonna give you a 3 count, and I need you to give me 2 players you think are gonna be breakout players this Saturday's game. And 3, 2, 1, go.
I say Stetson Bennett. I say Brock Bowers.
Okay. And I'm going to say Dejon Edwards, and I'm going to say Malik Starks. I think those two are going to be the offensive defense. Those are going to be my 2 stars of the game. We'll see come this Saturday. The game kickoff is 2:30 Central, 3:30 Eastern. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct.
Okay. Well, that brings us to, ladies and gentlemen, our final segment of the game. We've been here today talking UGA versus Florida, world's largest outdoor cocktail party taking place this coming Saturday. A well over 100 years worth of rivalry between 2 teams very near and dear to our hearts, or our lack of empathy, as it were. I don't want to use the H word because we don't want to get canceled, but you know we don't like them very much, and you can infer what I mean by that. It rhymes with plate, so that's where we're going to leave that. But that brings us to, ladies and gentlemen, our 2-minute warning. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, the 2-minute warning. That is the final segment of the show where we just give you a little something to take with you on your way out the door, like a little bitty to-go bag, like a doggy bag when you go to your grandmother's house and say, baby, take this, and you pick it up and it's real heavy, and she's taking one of those cookie tins or one of those, I can't believe it's not butter tins, and she's filled it up with like 2 sandwiches and 18 slices of bacon and some potatoes with gravy. Like she'll put a whole Thanksgiving meal in there for you. Yeah, just a little something to take with you on your way. Or, if you're from the suburbs, a bag with a Lunchable in it and a Capri Sun. Either way, just a little something for you to take with you on your way out the door from this week's episode. Collin, as always, I'm going to defer to you first, sir.
I was waiting for you to say like a paper bag with a lot of grease stains at the bottom of it.
I wasn't gonna get it all.
Hold it from the bottom because it's gonna fall out. Hold it from the bottom, baby. Hold it from the bottom. It's gonna fall out.
See, if you're real smart, a lot of the grandmothers that came along after our grandmother's generation start getting smart. Yeah. They give it a greasy bag, but then they go in there and get one of the plastic Kroger bags, put in, baby, so it don't stain your seat. But then when you get home, like all the grease is seep through and it's in the bottom. See, I wasn't going to say that because that's another 30 minutes of us talking about Southern cooking. So I'm going to defer to you with your 2 minutes.
We'll learn. One of these days we'll learn, man. All right. So, so let me get this quick. No, I mean, so this, I guess this is weekend. I guess it's Halloween, whatever. The last round table, Delilah said something about the adults doing the Halloween trick-or-treating, that kind of stuff. And, it's just, it's fun with me. I can say honestly to me to go around with my son Brady, just to walk around and see all the kids having fun, trick or treating door to door, and just be courteous. If you're not trying to do the Halloween thing, turn your lights off. I mean, like honestly, I mean, they turn lights off, don't have the kids go there and knock on your door, and then I just say I do it myself. Sometimes I forget that I'm out with him, but I don't turn my light off, and then there's people knocking on my door. Honestly, the best thing to do, get you a big old bucket of candy, just put it on your door if you don't be home. And let the kids grab it. But
Yeah, 100%.
it's
And if you
I
got
mean,
a, if you got
Halloween's Halloween. Go ahead.
yeah, and if you're out and about with your kids and you got a ring
Yeah,
doorbell, every time your thing buzzes, you just go, "Hey, trick or treat! We're not here, but feel free to take yourself a little
exactly.
candy."
If you feel like they're gonna dump the whole thing in that bag, just put your little note, say take one, take two, take one and a half, or whatever you want
Oh,
to take. I
please,
mean,
please, man! Look, these kids on something different. You'll be like, you'll
I know.
leave notes for take one. And
You can
somewhere there will be
try. You can try though.
somewhere there'll be some kid walking around the neighborhood with a ginormous sack of candy with a whole bunch of take ones. And
Exactly.
a matter of fact, oh Lord, I hope I haven't put that in somebody's mind if it's not already. There's a whole
Take
bunch of
one.
kids in the
The
neighborhood.
candy
There's
bar.
it's a whole bunch of kids that ride around and they look for the
That's what I'm
houses
gonna
with the
do,
take one, and they
bro.
dump the whole they dump the whole bowl in the bag, and they hit about two houses, and then they call it a night.
I'm gonna buy a bunch of take ones and I'm gonna put them in a bucket and I'll put them in front of my house. So take one.
You
Hey, come on. It was funny. You
I
can
ain't got
laugh.
nothing. I got nothing for that. I got nothing
Go
for
ahead.
that. Okay, my 2 minute warning, and then we're going to get out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Most of us, we let me back up. A lot of us like to watch television programs or stuff that we like on the streams and things like that, and a variety of different programs. About 20. It started about 30 some odd years ago with a show called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, hosted by a man named Robin Leach, who talked with a British accent. This is Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, champagne wishes and caviar dreams, where you got tours of the stars' homes and you got to look into their lifestyle. And then MTV took it and modernized it and turned it into cribs. And then it developed into these shows like The Real Housewives of Orange County, of New Jersey, of Atlanta, of Miami, etc., etc., etc. The Keeping Up with the Kardashians. What's the other one? The Chrisleys, Life with Todd, or whatever it is. So
Yeah, yeah.
we've have a whole generation of people now who that we see have a lot of money and don't necessarily look like they have some sort of a job. Um, Most of us, my point in saying all of that is that's not the case for most of us. Most of us have a job that we have to get up and go to every day. Um, what I wanted to say is if you have someone at your job that kind of makes your day bright, appreciate that person while because sometimes they might like you and like the crew, but they're not liking the pay, or they might not like the supervisor or somebody there they got beef with, or they might move away, or they might retire or whatever. Enjoy and appreciate having that person there that makes your day joyful, person or persons. I sit right next to a guy um, at work that went through a horrendous car accident. The doctors didn't give him a chance to live at all. And not only did he survive, he is, he's gone through therapy. He can walk again. Now he's still got to walk with it. He's still got, it's
Yep.
noticeable. But this guy is a nut. This guy on my worst days keeps me cracking up every single day. And I appreciate the fact that even on our worst days, he'll be like, all he'll say is incoming. And I'll be like, nope, I'm not even looking at that till I go outside for a smoke break because I'm going to get fired. And then I got an old Army veteran that sits on the other side of the file cabinets from me right within the vicinity. He's always got jokes. And honestly, I work with a great group of folks. Our team is phenomenal. We have good days and we have bad days. And sometimes we want to
Sure.
rip each other's throats out. But I love the folks that I work with, and I've been working with this company for 4 years. So if you got a job, even if you don't like the job, but you love the people you work with, appreciate those folks while you got them, because Lord knows you could be somewhere working where you getting paid real good and you can't stand a soul you work with. And I know a lot of people that sacrifice their, just their sense of
The
peace
well-being.
for the money. So if you work
Yeah.
somewhere, whether you make a bunch of money or whether you make a not a bunch of money, appreciate the folks that you have around you if they make your day worth it. And that's all I
Hey,
got.
bro, and honestly, man, they go hand in hand. Like, I mean, honestly, if you like the people you work with, I mean, it makes your job less. If you hate your job, it makes your job much more bearable. If you don't
Oh
like
yeah.
it, but in my opinion, I mean, in my situation, I mean, I've already said that in a couple last shows. The people I work with, I do like 99% of them, and I do that makes me like my job. I did want to add on one thing. My parents used to tell me champagne wishes, and a water pocketbook. Is what they used to tell me.
Uh,
That's what they tell me. So you got champagne wishes and a water pocketbook. That's what they told me. So
well, I could tell you. Look, I could tell. Look, you look. I am from the South, but I'm not from the country. You from the country, and
oh,
if
I
I
ain't
couldn't
lying.
tell, listening to you,
I never lie.
just talking to your parents, I'm like, oh man, I bet he used to get a whole
Yes,
bunch of
sir.
sayings growing up. So yeah, that's all we got, ladies and gentlemen, this evening. Best wishes from Oklahoma and from the DMV to our boys. To our boys in the 30306 is what I believe the zip code is, en route this weekend down to Duval. I'm sorry.
Duval.
I started singing. I got to do it right. Duval. I started to make it all operatic, and that's not how we do it because people will be like, "Yo, what's that you represent, cuz? What's all that, cuz? This ain't Phantom of the Opera, bro." Duval. So the 30306 is headed down to Duval to take on the Gators this weekend for the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, the either 100th or 101st 101st or 102nd meeting, depending on whose account you believe. We believe the dogs will reign victorious. And now,
Supreme.
and as reign supreme, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. So, on behalf of myself, Mr. Fingers, and my man Collin P from the DMV, we're going to close this one out with a benediction in the style of one Mr. Larry Munson. And now, let all those, let all of those. Oh man! And now let Bulldog Nation rally around the men who wear the red and black with two simple words that exemplify the heart and minds of the entire Bulldog Nation. And all of the dogs people said, "Go
Go
Dogs."
dog. Yes, sir.